Good evening. It's sadly an all too familiar story, a child being bullied at school. For 14-year-old Megan Evans from Milford Haven, it became too much and she decided to end her own life. Her mother says she was a victim of online bullying. Despite having to cope with the death of her daughter, Nicola Harteveld is now behind a campaign to make parents and teachers more aware of the signs that someone they love might be struggling. She's been telling her story to our reporter, Tom Brown-Lowe.
Everybody loved Megan. She was the clown of the bunch. You barely ever saw a sad picture of Megan. She was always happy and she was kind of the centre of attention all the time.
But behind the smiling photographs, Megan was desperately unhappy. Last month, the 14-year-old took her own life.
Everything was just so normal that day and our lives changed with a phone call. And, you know, it's never going to be the same again. You know, there were 10 of us. If we go out now, there's that empty seat at the table.
Megan's mum Nicola says she was the victim of a period of sustained bullying on social media.
There were a lot of group chats and it appears that a lot of the, I suppose you call it bullying, and the negativity and the issues are raised on these group chats. There was talk of self-harming, there's talk of sexual activity at their ages. It's a bit difficult to talk about what I did see, because it wasn't good.
And I think most parents and the young people themselves probably see these things as a bit of fun, don't they?
Yeah. You think that they're using it for communication and like you said, for fun purposes, but they're not. There's talks of drugs, alcohol. It's horrible, nasty comments to each other, picking on people because of their weight, the way they look. And it's like it's normal to them. It's like an everyday thing.
Now Nicola and her family are fighting to raise awareness of online bullying and want parents to know the warning signs.
I want to train advocates in schools, so a person from a particular year group, train them up so they can be a point of contact in the schools. They can identify the aspects of bullying, that, you know, kids are going to approach them in a far more comfortable way than an adult who sat there in a shirt, a tie, you know, sort of in a formal position. I would have known that something was wrong, and I feel that Megan's friends would have known that something was wrong had they been educated. So I really want to raise awareness for parents and teenagers.
What is your message to the young people themselves who use these social media platforms?
I think they need to sit back and to think what they're saying, what they're doing. Definitely think before they press send, because that message could be the message that pushes somebody over to the edge, and they've got to live with that for the rest of their lives.
If you were out at the weekend in Wales, you'll have seen for yourselves how busy our town and city centre pubs, bars and nightclubs can get. Nightlife in Wales contributes enormously to the economy, but policing it can be expensive. Swansea, though, has come up with an innovative way of making sure there are more bobbies on the beat and fewer people ending up at A&E. In the second of our exclusive reports with South Wales Police, Tom Brown-Lowe reports on the emergency room making a difference.
As the sun sets over Swansea's Wine Street, thousands begin to arrive for a night out, and so do the people that are paid to protect them.
Chris, Wine Street is obviously very busy tonight, and your officers are out on the front line keeping everyone safe. What sort of things do they have to deal with?
It varies. Quite early on in the evening, the role of the police officers within Wine Street is to meet and greet people into the city, to make sure that we're reinforcing to people's standards of behaviour, which is acceptable across the nighttime economy. As the night progresses then, our role then evolves into one around public safety. keeping people safe, reducing vulnerability of those people who become more intoxicated as the night goes on.
A lot of the scuffles we find are sort of alcohol related, and when you actually speak to people and get to the bottom of it and perhaps split two groups up, it started over something or nothing. They don't know each other. A lot of it tends to be sort of alcohol related misunderstandings.
Usually everyone's pretty friendly, but you get the odd one towards the end of the night when everyone's had a bit too many, and it can escalate then. One group of friends can push another group and it can escalate from there then.
And here in Swansea, when the good times do turn bad, there's a new approach to dealing with it.
Help point 1, help point 1 from control.
Tucked away in a car park is Swansea's Help Point. Staffed by police and paramedics, this mini hospital can treat almost any injury, giving relief to overstretched A&E departments and allowing police to continue their patrols.
So tell me, how does it work when people arrive here at the Help Point?
Well, basically they come through the door and they're dealt with in this area where they are triaged by the nurse that we have, and then they can be brought into this area for further treatment. We tend to deal with a lot of minor injuries and illness in this area. They can have diagnostic, their blood pressure and their vital signs taken and all that. And then anybody that needs to be spoken to or dealt with in a more private area, they can come into this room. We can shut the doors in and the police officer or the nurse can actually speak to them privately then.
And then even more serious through here, is that right?
Yes, towards the end here we have the capability to put people to lie down, and if need be they can have a drip inserted to rehydrate them. So there's quite a few options available to us.
And you can deal with most sort of things here?
Yeah, we also have a paramedic on site as well, so we can deal with quite a lot of most things really, to be quite honest with you.
Working alongside the emergency services is a team of student volunteers who give up their own nights out to keep others safe on theirs.
Do you want some water? So the volunteers, one of their roles is to patrol Wine Street. So they go round, they have a bag which has got water bottles in, foil blankets, sick bowls, things like that, flip-flops. And the idea is that they have vulnerability training, which is given by the PCC's office and South Wales Police, and they look out for vulnerable people in the nighttime economy, and that can be lone females and lone males who are intoxicated, they've not been allowed into a club, but their friends have left them and are just sort of wandering the streets, and they'll go up to them predominantly and see if they're okay, try and get them safely home, take them to a taxi rank, or if they are severely intoxicated, bring them back to the Help Point as a safe place.
Sometimes it can be quite difficult. Often you can't get any words out of them, sometimes they can't speak. So, yeah, it can be quite difficult, but we just give it our best, really.
We get all sort of mixed, like some are really happy for us to help, but some are very abusive towards us, but it just comes along, doesn't it? Depends how people are doing.
It's just a normal kind of thing now, I think. People just think it's normal, it just happens, and we're here to kind of fix it.
And so far, this partnership certainly seems to be working.
Since it opened, the Help Point has treated almost 3,000 people. 94% of those were classed as vulnerable because they were drunk. But with very few needing to go on to have extra treatment in A&E, it's estimated to have saved the police, ambulance service and hospitals £650,000.
And tonight, it's not long before someone needs help. Brought to the Help Point, this man is treated within minutes. Before, it could have been hours, saving a trip to the hospital and potentially thousands of pounds. And while he's looked after, the volunteers head out again. While our NHS and police remain under pressure, an innovative approach like this saves valuable time, money and resource. And means a night out doesn't have to mean a night in A&E. Tom Brown-Lowe, ITV News.
Dementia is a disease many of us will have seen affect our friends and members of our families. More than 45,000 people are currently living with the disease in Wales. It costs our society £1.4 billion a year. Well, this weekend we'll see thousands of people taking part in the Alzheimer's Society's Memory Walk to raise money and awareness of the disease. As part of our In Focus series, Tom Brown-Lowe has been to meet one family saying the long goodbye.
You was working in a nursing home?
I was a carer. Yeah, I was a carer in a nursing home, which I loved. Absolutely loved it. What did you do then?
I was working for the TV company.
You were working for the TV company.
Denise and Tony met 21 years ago, a memory Denise never thought would start to fade.
I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 5 years ago, but it would have been a year before that, but it takes a year to diagnose.
At just 57, Denise became one of 45,000 people living with dementia in Wales.
It didn't really sink in at first, you know, and then you sort of get to thinking, you think, well, you know, my wife's not going to get better, it's only going to get worse.
Oh, please, can I have another one? But this time, can you stop?
Thought to be caused in Denise's case by a car crash with a drunk driver, Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia and causes confusion, memory loss and changes in personality. It's a diagnosis that many families find difficult to come to terms with and even more difficult to live with.
We'll go to the shop and we had a kind of like a panic moment. I think it was maybe a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago where she thought she had lost her bag in the shop. She couldn't remember that she had, if she doesn't take her bag with her, if she doesn't stick to her routine, any panic or worry will trigger something off, so she'll panic and then forget. I know that from my grandmother, because my grandmother had Alzheimer's as well, that my mum in a few years is not going to be the same person as she was, you know? And that's hard to let go of, isn't it?
Good gosh, I didn't realise it was bank holiday so soon.
She forgets to text people, so I say, this so-and-so has texted you, remember to text back.
I said to him yesterday, did I ever cook a roast dinner? Well, I must have in the past, but I can't remember.
Not for me.
Ever cooking a roast dinner. I wouldn't, you know, but I'm sure I must have done a roast dinner in the past. But I can't remember that.
With someone developing dementia in the UK every 3 minutes, it's expected the disease will be this century's biggest killer. But despite there currently being no cure, this family aren't ready to let it win.
We laugh a lot, don't we?
Yeah, try and keep things as normal as they can be.
We try and make it into a fun situation rather than dwell on it, you know?
Yeah, we're always fun. We're a fun family.
Yeah. Just because she has dementia doesn't mean she can't be the nan who she is, like a normal nan. But I still love her the way I would love my normal nan.
This is the real me. Every day I get up, always have done. I don't think you've ever seen me without my makeup on, have you?
Yeah, I haven't told you.
Right. But, you know, and the day I stop that is the day that they all know they won't have to ask me. That day has come when the Alzheimer's has said, right, you're mine now. But it's not going to be for a long, long time yet.